Alrighty then, yo, what's up guys, it's me Spider-Van1 here, and welcome back to another video on the channel. And so, with today's video, we're back on some Black Ops 6 with our first episode of the Road to Nebula series here on Black Ops 6. With a video that I decided to make where I'm going to be going over how to complete all base camos and all special camos in the game. And so whenever we get up to a point with that camo, then I'll basically tell you which guns it's on and how to complete it like the fastest way and how long it took me to basically complete it for like one weapon. And for some weapons this might end up going by faster, for some weapons it might end up going by slower. It really all just depends on which weapons are in these classes, or which weapons, sorry, have these camos essentially. But so yeah, I decided to just make this all into one video, and that's the same thing that I'll be doing with each of the mastery camos in the game. So whatever the gold equivalent is, the opal, the afterlife, and the nebula camo, I'm going to be doing all weapons all in the same video, and I'm kind of just going to be like hitting the mystery box, completing the camo, hitting the mystery box again, completing the camo, and kind of just doing that type of a thing in each of those videos. But obviously for this one, it's just going over the base camos and stuff. And since a lot of the weapons have like the same camo, and I thought that this would be the video, or the easiest way to make this type of a video. And so I guess, yeah, that's why this video is being created. But the main thing that I'm going to mention right now is that I know that a lot of people already have the Nebula camo finished, and I know that there's tons of videos out there on YouTube on how to get specific camos done faster, and there's even faster methods than probably what I used in this video to basically get all like the weapons and stuff done, and like certain camos and stuff. But yeah, so the first thing that I'm going to be going over is basically the general class that you want to run with each of the weapons in the game, the augments that I used on each perk, and the maps that I decided to play, plus my general like class setup that I would use before going into the game. And so for this particular part, I just decided to use the XM4 as the base weapon for this because I have it max ranked and have everything unlocked on it. So yeah, here we go. So with the XM4, for any weapon in general, the optics that I'd recommend is basically anything that you'd like using. I'd mostly recommend using like a red dot sight, because if you do play in third person, then it will keep you in third person. Otherwise, using like a 3 or 4 times scope will immediately put you in to like first person from third person. So there's that. And personally, I really liked using the Valorsky Reflex, as it's probably my favorite optic in this game. For the muzzle, you should always be running the suppressor, as it gives you more salvage, so then you can upgrade your weapon and buy certain things in the game. The only classes that I obviously did not use a suppressor on was the shotguns plus the melees and launchers, but those are specifics. But I did not use them on shotguns, and I'll go over what I used instead later. The barrel that I would recommend using is the CHF barrel, as it increases your headshot damage or critical damage basically in zombies instead of the headshot damage. But you don't really need this attachment on the snipers, and it's also a little different for the shotguns, but you don't need it on the snipers, as on the snipers it just increases your body damage. So there's that. My underbarrel would always usually be the vertical grip. The magazine that I would usually use is the biggest size that you have unlocked. If the only magazine that you have unlocked is like extended mags 1, then I'd still recommend using that. But after you unlock per se like extended mags 2 or 3, if the weapon has that, which the XM4 does have that, then I would say just switch it after you unlocked it. Like, don't leave the game just to switch your mags. Just like play out the rest of the game and then and then switch it to extended mags 2 or 3 afterwards. For the rear grip, I was always using the quick draw grip. For the stock, I would mostly be using either the light stock or the balanced stock, basically just for the movement speed increase, which I'm pretty sure the light stock does do a little bit more movement speed increase than the balanced stock, but the balanced stock is more for like in general stuff instead of just like base movement speed. Or you could use the buffer weight stock for recoil control, but that's only on a few particular weapons. And then usually I wouldn't use a laser, so going over into the fire mod would usually be the recoil springs, as it helps out with the recoil. But for the snipers, shotguns, and pistols, I was specifically using rapid fire on those because it just helped the weapon more than using the recoil springs on those weapons. Which, speaking of which, you could use rapid fire if you'd really like to, but since double tap is now in the game, I just recommend using recoil springs. I decided just to show you off the LW3 class that I had, which isn't all that much different, but you will see some differences in the barrel attachment and the fire mod, where I used rapid fire and the barrel was just like to extend the damage range. I don't know if it was actually helping or not, but I was using it. And then lastly is the class with the Marine SP, so then you guys could see the shotgun classes. And the only difference here is that I used the modified choke, as it decreased the pellet spread while ADS, or it might have increased. I think it decreased the pellet spread while you were ADS, so it was kind of a little bit easier to get some headshots. And then I'd also use the tactical laser, as I kind of enjoyed using it with shotguns in particular. And then I also used the reinforced barrel for the damage range and for more ammo, and then the ASG is the same type of a way with the XM4, but just with a modified choke instead of using the suppressor, because that gun has more of like the standard like attachments that you'll find on every single weapon, which I don't know why my voice is cracking this much, but anyways. As for the class, I'd usually have the knife as my melee weapon, unless if I was going for kills with the baseball bat. And then I'd mostly end up using Aether Shroud most times out of 10, going for camos, as it gets you out of some bad situations pretty easily. And that's kind of one of the reasons why I permanently unlocked it. And then the tactical would either be the concussion or the decoy, for their own reasonings. And then as far as the lethals would go, I'd mostly just be using the Semtex, so then I could do the zombie head Easter egg on Liberty Falls, where it just drops like salvage points, and eventually it drops the either common or rare Aether tool. And then which gobblegums did I end up using? I honestly haven't even used any gobblegums. The only time that I've used them was for the gobblegum event. As far as the streaks, I'd mostly end up using the chopper gunner for exfils, and that was really it. I'd sometimes use the war machine if it was like a little bit lower of a round, but most times out of 10 I'd end up using the chopper gunner, which is why I also ended up permanently unlocking that. And so right now I'll show you the perks and the augments that I use for each. The main ones that I'm going to point out are Deadshot, as it helps you aim for the head. and if you just like rapidly ADS, then it'll basically just go point you towards the head each and every single time. I will also point out Vulture's Aid, mostly for points, ammo, and salvage, because you could get more points, ammo, and salvage if you used Vulture's Aid. And then I'll also point out Death Perception as one of the augments, gives you a chance for a critical kill if you aimed at the body. Plus for the scan rate, just so then you could end the round a little bit faster. And then all the other perks are pretty self-explanatory, and I kind of just used whatever I thought was going to be the best for each perk. And then the only perks that I usually would not end up buying whenever I was going for these camos was Elemental Pop, as I didn't need a random ammo mod going off. And I'd usually only buy Melee Macchiato just if I was going for melee weapons, as that's what it helps out with the most. And so I was usually mostly just playing standard zombie solo on Liberty Falls, and I'd sometimes go into directed mode just to finish a weapon, or to use some of the weaker weapons, or to finish the special camos, which is what I'm currently doing right now. I'll also mention the fact that you can go for multiple camos at the same time, but during each of my recordings, when I went for the special camos, I was only going for that specific camo. And timestamps and stuff will be in the description of this video, along with on the timeline of this video. And that's really it as far as this intro goes. So I guess here we go with the camos that you need to unlock in the game and how to get them. So the first camo that you need to go for on all weapons, it doesn't matter which weapons you're going for, is the critical kills, which is getting 2,000 critical kills on each weapon. The only exception for this is going to be the melees and the launchers, where it's just 200 kills. But for every single weapon, whether that be the assault rifles, the SMGs, the shotguns, the LMGs, the snipers, and the pistols, all those need 2,000 critical kills to get them all finished. And so I guess I'm just gonna go for play-by-play on what I used to do, on what I did each game, as that's what I had recorded, and I'll show you guys whenever the camo pops up, plus I'll give some like little ideas. But anyways, so for most of the weapons in this game, I would just start off a normal game of zombies on Liberty Falls. And I would usually stay in the spawn room until round 10, and I would hit the vending machine at the start of each round, just so then I could potentially get more points and more salvage. And the reason why I would stay there till round 10 is kind of just because it's a smaller area, and because after round 10 is when you get the rare Aether tool. Instead, if you go up anytime before then, I'm pretty sure the common Aether tool will spawn in if you do the zombie head like Easter egg thing. And so after, and then also as well, I will mention that you could turn on the Rampage Inducer, but I did not decide to do this with most weapons because I just didn't really care to. After leaving a few zombies left at round 10, I would head up to the Pack-a-Punch and get some perks along the way, which were mostly stamina up in PhD. And then I would kill all like the event zombies that you would find around the map that just would randomly spawn in, and you could kill for an easy critical kill. And then I would also start up the zombie head Easter egg as I went in to get Pack-a-Punch on my weapon, and I would also most of the time I would shoot the crystals for salvage, and that's mostly of what I would do. And if you wanted to, you could also stay in the spawn area and get 12,500 points to go from the starting room to Pack-a-Punch, but you wouldn't be able to get any perks or anything like that. And as I said before, round 10 was in particular, as that's when you can get the free rare weapon upgrade after collecting stuff from the zombie head. Then I'd get the legendary tier rarity, because I'd have the salvage at that point. I'd also mostly play this in third person while doing this, but I would switch to first person after round 25 when the Wonder Fizz would spawn and I could get Deadshot Daiquiri. Or by any means, or if I got Deadshot from anything else that was in the game, whether that be from the vault or from the SAM trials, then I would mostly just stay in third person and then switch after round 25 when the Wonder Fizz would spawn and you could get Deadshot, which no, I never ended up doing the Deadshot Easter egg in like the back of the cemetery, for those of you who were wondering. And then so after getting Pack-a-Punch, I would head back down to get more perks, and then I'd also go into the bank to open up the special door so that I could get to the bank easier, because you can get to there from the like ice cream stand that's there. And then I would train the zombies mostly in the speed cola area until I had enough points to make my way to quick revive and level 2 armor. And then I'd complete the main circle by round 14 or 15 and trade the zombies in the main spawn room and connecting areas while still hitting the vending machine. And yes, round 15 and every 5 rounds after that is when you would have to deal with the abomination, which is kind of annoying, but they weren't too difficult to like take down after you got like a hang of how to kill them easily. While also doing things in the spawn area, I would also start up some trials that were near there. And I would mostly start them up near the end of the round, as it wouldn't spawn in normal zombies until after the trial ended. Or like if you leave a few zombies near like the end of the round and you start up the trial, even if you kill those zombies along with like the trial zombies, the next round will not start, and it will just let you continue trying to do the SAM trial until you eventually either pass it or fail it, and then that's when it would switch the next round. Or you could just get easy critical kills from these SAM trial zombies. And then you can complete the full SAM trial if you wanted to. If it's something easier, or if it's something a little harder, then you can kind of just kill the zombies. And thankfully, I did end up finishing the SAM trial that was in this game, or in this, because it ended up giving me Deadshot as one of the rewards. And this is one of the main reasons for punching the vending machine, is just to get that potential chance at the perk. And then after getting Deadshot either from the trial or the Wonder Fizz at round 25, I'd switch back to first person, as it was easier like that. And I would do the aiming in and shooting method, as that would get me a lot more critical kills than just aiming towards the head per se. And then after getting enough points, then I'd go back up and get Pack-a-Punch level 2. And then I'd also open up the vault on the way back for that increased chance to get Deadshot earlier, plus to get a bunch of other rewards. And I know that there's a bunch of like shorts and videos and stuff on how to open up the vault, but just in case if somebody does not know how to open up the vault, then I will tell you that now. Which, to open up the vault, the first number is found on the bank desk, which in my game, it was the number 8, or 08. The second number is found at the comic book store underneath that square-shaped desk, which in my game, the number was 30. And then the last number is found in the bowling alley if you shoot the glass jar that's at the bar. and during this game, my number was 39. And I think depending on the key that you get, that's most likely to spawn in, plus anything higher than that has a random chance of spawning in. So if you get like a legendary key, then you're more likely to get legendary items, but you can have that odd chance of getting an epic item from these things. And then after getting 5,000 salvage, I then get epic rarity on my weapon to have it at the highest damage, which I don't know why I wrote that down, but okay. And then after that, I'd save up to get 30,000 points, and then I'd go to get pack 3 on the weapon of choice. And then you could also save up an extra 10,000 points for 3-plate armor, but I never really did this and kept it as 2, as I just never really saw the point of getting 3-plate armor, even though it could help in some situations. I just kept it at 2-plate armor. And then I'd head back to the spawn area and train zombies there and save up points and salvage. And then also I would normally wouldn't pick up at insta-kills, as the Armored Zombies usually wouldn't count for critical kills if you had it activated for some odd reason. Just sometimes they wouldn't count as critical kills. And then after saving up 2,500 salvage, I'd also buy a chopper gunner for when I went to exfil out of the map, as it made it easier to do, because chopper gunnering out of the map is a pretty simple thing to do. And then any salvage past that usually went into armor plates if I desperately needed these armor plates. And then with round 24 ending, I'd head to the top of the bank and kill the last few zombies there and wait for the Wonder Fizz to spawn in and get the remaining perks that I would need or want, which usually most times this would be Deadshot, Vulture's Aid, Death Perception, and I think Double Tap. But since I had friggin' Deadshot during this, or since I got Deadshot earlier, I didn't need to buy that. And then I would usually train zombies and get a load of critical kills until round, and got a ton of critical kills until round 36, and would get the exfil after getting a few more kills. Sometimes I would get exfil if I was going for the most XP at round 31, as past then you get less XP for kill. But for the video, I went to round 36 as I kind of just wanted to continue playing. And then after exfilling, I'd go to the location as it spawned at 1 or 2 places, which was either on top of the bank or just outside of the bowling alley. And I'd call in my chopper gunner after the abomination spawned in, so I knew that I could just kill the abomination easily with the chopper gunner, as I've had a few times where I've spawned or gotten my chopper gunner and started shooting down at the abomination, and for some odd reason, and I've shot at the zombies, and randomly after I leave the chopper gunner, it'll say that I have 1 zombie remaining and it'll be the abomination. So that's why I make sure that I get the abominations as they spawn in. And then I'd just clear out all the zombies and leave the chopper gunner to make it to the exfil and eventually just leave. So during this time in total, I went for around an hour and 10 minutes and got 18,007 critical kills and got a total of 78,000 XP. It will tell you that I got more critical kills, but I guess some of them didn't track as well. Like how it tells me that I got 1,871 critical kills, but only 1,807 counted for this like run that I was doing, as I started from 0 with the AS Val, which I don't know why I'm just mentioning now that I just started using the AS Val for this thing. But anyways, And then after that, I went into a game of directed mode to show you what I do there. I'd usually stay in the spawn area until I got up to 12,500 points, as that's how much you need to get to pack 1. And then when going to the pack-a-punch, I'd kill the event zombies around the map and get the free points where I could. After that, I'd take the zip line to get to the Wonder Fizz that spawns at the top of the bank roof. Because in directed mode, the Wonder Fizz spawns in from the start. And I'd get Deadshot plus a few other perks that may help and get the rest up there. And get whatever up there. Which in total, to get the last few headshots that I needed, that took me 13 minutes to get the last 200 headshots that I needed left. And so here's what I would say, is that I would only say to go into directed mode to finish up weapons and not go for weapons from the start, as I think that it would take a little bit longer, and it's also not as fun, so that's the reasoning for why I didn't. The only weapons that I would say to use directed mode from the start are for the GS45, the LR762, the HE1, and the baseball bat, for reasons that you should know. Which, if you don't know, the GS45 and the LR762 both turn into explosive weapons after you pack punch them, and it makes it nearly impossible to get critical kills. The HE1 is pretty weak as far as the launcher goes, and you only get 1 shot per mag, versus the Sigma where you get 3 shots. And then the baseball bat is because it was normally a 2-hit on zombies, so you could basically just get up to a point where you had the max, kill zombies with 1 hits with the baseball bat in directed mode, and it would stay a 1-hit kill. And then the only mix mash weapon for me is the knife. You could do it in either. I think I decided to do it in normal, but you could also do it in directed mode, as it's a melee weapon. And I do know that there is the oil trap method on Citadel, but I didn't end up using that at all. And it's mostly just because I didn't really know how to use it, and because at the time that I figured it out, I was basically 3/4 of the way through getting all my weapons done, and I was having fun doing what I was doing, so I didn't really mind. And that's really it as far as how to get all these headshots and stuff in the game, and the way that I showed you on how I personally did it. You could probably do them faster than me, but I just decided to show you the way that I did it. Plus, there's a ton of other methods out there to get critical kills, but since I just decided to play the game the way that it is, I just decided to do them in regular and finish it off with directed mode if I needed to. But yeah, since past here is all these special camos, I will now be going over those for right now. So, the first special camo that I thought I might as well talk about is 30 Vermin Kills, which I recorded this with the XM4. And as far as the weapons that you need to get these kills on is just the XM4, the Strider, the HE1, and the baseball bat. On the map Liberty Falls, you have Vermin specific rounds at round 5 to 7 and round 10 or 11. And every 5 or so rounds after that if you played normally. And also rounds 5 to 7 and round 10 or 11 if you played on directed. And you wouldn't get any more past that. Plus, after round 5, you'd usually have 1 spawn in every round. Plus, you'd have that random odd chance for 1 to spawn from a zombie. The fastest way that I would say to do this is just to play out Liberty Falls with the weapon that you need to get finished and kill the vermin with it. I'd also say to use another weapon to kill the normal zombies, and go for camos on those weapons, and then use the Vermin specific weapons on Vermin rounds. So spawn in with the Vermin specific weapon and try to get another weapon from the mystery box. There are faster methods of getting this done, but I just ended up playing Liberty Falls. Like, I know you can play the map Terminus and kind of go throughout the Easter egg and have them spawning in like every 5 to 10 seconds, but this is just what I decided to do. And this method that I decided to use took me around 13 minutes using just the XM4 and going for vermins in particular, which you need to kill 30 of them. The next camo that I decided to record was the 30 Parasite challenge, which, just like the 30 Vermin challenge, this is for 30 Parasites. And I recorded this with the AS Val, and the weapons that have this camo challenge are the AS Val, the C9, the ASG, and the LW3. Just like with Liberty Falls, the map Terminus has Parasite specific rounds at round 5 to 7 and 10 or 11, plus every 5 rounds after that if you're playing on normal. And just like Liberty Falls, after you finish the first Parasite round, you'll have one spawn in every so often, and sometimes even from a zombie when you kill them. The only main difference is that on this map, a few of the islands or one of the islands can spawn with these green eggs that spawn in parasites. And I did end up taking the boat and going out to find this island, but the monster started to chase after me. I ended up dying, but I self-revived myself and destroyed these eggs. And while going after more, I ended up dying again, and since I didn't have self-revive, I couldn't revive myself. And during the first playthrough, I got 22 to spawn of, or I got 22 of them to spawn in the span of 22 minutes. And I probably could have gotten more if I just ended up surviving for a little bit longer. And then, so with that, I ended up spawning in again and went till the Parasite specific round, where I got it finished, which thankfully it spawned in 8 parasites. And so basically in total it took me 27 minutes to get it finished between the 2 games. Again, I'd say to use another weapon while going for this and using the specific weapon on parasites. And just like the Vermin camo, there are faster ways to get this finished, but that's the way that I decided to get it finished. And just like how I said with the Vermins, I'm pretty sure if you do the Terminus Easter egg, then there's a point where you put down one Vermins will spawn in every 30 seconds-ish. And then the next one that you go to will spawn in a Parasite every 30 seconds. The way that I decided to do it is the way that I'm showing you guys right now. And then also, I'd say to go for the 30 Parasite kills first and do all other camos on Liberty Falls, as this camo kind of got me a little bit pissed off. But yeah, there's that. Alrighty then, so the next camo that we have is killing 75 Armoured Zombies, which I recorded this with the SWAT. But on the weapons, it's currently on the Model L, the SWAT 556, the Sigma, and the knife. And so on any map, you'll start getting Armored Zombies after around 8 or so. I'm not 100% sure on this information, but I think that they start spawning in round 10 when I went for them. But I think they start spawning in past round 8 after some games that I have played. You get around 5 to 6 of them per round if you play or per wave if you play in directed mode, but you'll probably get more if you spawn in and start playing just like a regular match of zombies, of round-based zombies, instead of playing on directed mode. Which, just like the Vermin and Parasite camo, I'd say to use another weapon to go for other camos and kill Armored Zombies, in particular with the weapons of choice that you need to get the 75 Armored Zombie kills on. And that is what I did for the Sigma and the knife when I was going for those camos, because I already have them finished. And if you want a faster way to do this, you could just go into regular zombies and use the Rampage Inducer to get it up to around where Armored Zombies start spawning in, and just go from there until you get the camo done, which is a possibility if you'd want to do it like that. And using the directed mode in the footage that you can see in the background, I got all 75 done with a SWAT 556 in around 26 minutes from the start of the game until I got the camo unlocked. Which obviously you could probably do this faster than I did it, but that's just the way that I decided to do it myself. And since I only had like 5 or 6 spawning in per mat or per wave, you could only get a certain amount done. The next camo challenge is getting 5 rapid critical kills 15 times, which I ended up recording this with the AK-74. But the weapons that it is currently on is the AK-74, the Model L, the Goblin, the Tanto, the DM-10, the SVD, and the Grekova. For this camo, you can play either map. I just played on Liberty Falls direct mode as per usual. And I just say to round up the zombies and get 5 critical kills and stop. And once the kills on the middle of your screen goes away, then I'd say to go for the next 5 kills. I'm not 100% sure if they stack, but I think they would. I just didn't try it while I was recording the segment of this video, but I'm pretty sure they would stack, so every multiples of 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and so on, I think would count towards the challenge. And then if you'd like to as well, you can go to get Deadshot. Will help out with the critical kills, as that's the perk that aims for the head, and that's what I ended up doing in this video. And you can start going for this from round 1 and onwards, because more than 5 zombies spawn in per round, even starting at round 1. Overall, this took me 7 minutes to do from the start to the finish with the AK-74, just going for the 5 kills and stopping. But for all I know, they may stack. And so it took me 7 minutes to get this from the start of the game to when the camo popped up. The next camo challenge is to get 300 pack-a-punch kills, which I recorded this with the AK-74. And the weapons that this is on is the AK-74, the C9, the Tanto, the SVD, and the Sigma. Which, Liberty Falls and AK-74, here we go again, because that's what I used in the last camo. So, if you are playing on directed mode, I'd say to stay in the spawn room at the round 3 cap until you get 12,500 points, or you could open up the door and get to around 5 cap. It's truthfully up to you. And just get up to 12,500 points, as that's how much you need to go from the starting area to pack a punch 1 without buying anything else. And that is on Liberty Falls. As for the other maps, I'm not 100% sure. Past that, it's basically just about getting kills while the gun is pack-a-punch, which you only need level 1 to start. or to start this camo for counting, essentially. And this took me 17 minutes to go from the start to finish, doing it the way that I did. Which really, you can do this however you feel like. Next camo on our list is 300 rare or higher kills, which I ended up recording this with the baseball bat. The weapons that have this camo are the Ames, the Compact, the Marine, the DM10, the LW3, the GS45, the HE1, and the baseball bat. For this camo, I'd say to start off using a weapon that has a suppressor on it to get more salvage, as you need salvage to upgrade your weapon if you're using the melee weapon. But you know the class setup for most of the weapons at this point, so I just say use a suppressor, so then you're more likely to get more salvage. Which I did end up using the Ladra SMG during this just to get up to the salvage for this. And even though I was going for the baseball bat just so then I could get the salvage for the baseball bat to level up the weapon. And then I'd also say that you could go to the Wonder Fizz and get Vulture's Aid to get more salvage from the Augment, which I'm pretty sure if you get a critical kill, then that basically gives you more salvage, or better chance at getting more salvage, which is what I did in this video. You could also stay in the spawn area until you get the 1500 salvage, but that's not the way that I did it in the recording. And also, if you wanted to, you could stay in the spawn area until round 10 and do the zombie head Easter egg to get the free rare upgrade at round 10 and above, as it goes to a rare tool. Whereas before round 10, I'm pretty sure you only get a common tool, or a common upgrade tool, which is the green rarity, which you want for the rare rarity, you want a blue Aether tool. It's basically just a game of collecting up salvage and upgrading the weapon and getting 300 kills after that. This took me a total of 19 minutes to go from the start to finish using the method that I did and with the baseball bat. Some weapons could probably be faster though. Or some other weapons, I should say, sorry. The next camo challenge that we have is getting 10 Mangler Kills, which I recorded this with the LR762. And as far as the weapons that this camo challenge is on is the Goblin, the PU-21, the LR762, and the Grekova. For this camo, the best way to get this finished is to get up to round 11 and higher as fast as you can, as Manglers start to spawn in every round using this method, except for the Vermin rounds, which that's kind of obvious, but anyways. Which, if you're doing this in directed mode, that means just going to Pack-a-Punch as fast as you can and going to round 11 past then, which I'm pretty sure is what I did in this recording. After that, you can just go to the top of the bank and wait for them to spawn in. In the recording, you'll see that I look away from where the Mangler usually spawns in, and it seemed to spawn one in every single time. I would sometimes look towards that spawn area, and they sometimes won't spawn, which is why I was kind of testing it out in some other recordings if you randomly see that. But if they aren't getting spawned in, then I'd say just to look away from when the round resets to see if they spawn in, and just look away from where the Mangler spawn in on top of the bank roof. Past that, it's basically just a game of going through the rounds and waiting for them to spawn in, and if you can go fast enough, then you can get one spawning in every single minute. From start to finish though, this took me 21 minutes to do with the LR762 going from 0 to 10. And again, I'd say to pair this challenge up with another weapon, and don't do what I did during the recording of this video. It was basically just so that I could show you guys how to get the camos and whatnot. So I'd say use the LR and then go for something else, and then kill a Mangler in specific with the LR, and then work on another weapon while going for these Manglers, essentially is what I'm saying. The next camo challenge is to get 300 Armoured Kills, which I recorded a segment for each of them, for each of the Napalm Burst, Brain Rot, and Cryo Freeze and Dead Wire section. And so with the Napalm Burst ammo mod, you need to, or this camo challenge is on the XM4, the Jackal, and the AEK, which I recorded this with the Jackal. For the Brain Rot camo challenge, it is on the Ames, the XMG, the LR762, and the knife, which I recorded this with the knife. On the Cryo Freeze ammo mod, it's on the GPR, the PP919, the AEK, and the 9mm PM, which I ended up recording this on the 9mm PM. And then the last one is Dead Wire, which is on the AS Val, the KSV, the Sarkov, and the 9mm PM again. And I decided to record this on the AS Val, which I don't know why my voice is doing this right now. Hold on. So with these 300 Armoured Kills, it's basically just another game of going for salvage, which at least this time it's only 500 per ammo mod though, instead of going for 15,000 to get the rare upgrade. I did record each of them for some odd reason, but it's the same for each of them. I'd stay in spawn until I got 500 salvage and go to the top of the bank and buy that specific ammo mod. And then you just have to basically kill zombies past that, which you basically just need to buy that specific ammo mod, whichever one is on which weapon, and just get 300 kills. And you do not need the ammo mod to trigger for the kill to count. As long as you have it equipped to that specific weapon, all kills past that will count. And on average, it took me about 19 minutes to get the kills done for each of the recordings that I had. That could have just been the weapons that I was using, but to go over each in particular, the Napalm Burst took me 17 minutes. Brain Rot with the knife, or Napalm Burst with the Jackal took me 17 minutes. Brain Rot with the knife took me 17 minutes. Cryo Freeze with the 9mm took me 20 minutes. And Dead Wire with the ASVAL took me 18 minutes. So basically around 19 minutes or on average. Or maybe it's like 18-ish minutes on average, or 18.5-ish. Just because of that odd like 20 minutes with the 9mm PM. But basically just a game of salvage and getting the ammo mod that you need and getting 300 kills after you equip it. So the next camo challenge that we have is 100 enemies affected by a tactical. And I recorded this as well with the SWAT, which the weapons that this is on is the GPR, the ASG, the SWAT 556, and the Sarkov. Which this is somewhat another game of salvage amounts, but I think for this camo, the best options would either to be use the concussion or the shock charge. I mostly say to use the concussion as it costs less salvage, but you can use either. Which the concussion, if you run out of them, it costs 250 salvage, whereas the shock charge costs 500 salvage. And plus, if you recently prestiged and you're not permanently unlocking the shock charge, you're most likely just going to be getting these done with the concussions. The easiest way to get this done is just to go through the rounds and collect as much salvage as you can. Plus getting Vulturate in the process to get more salvage, and it'll more likely drop your specific lethals and tacticals. Will also help in the process until you get to round 11. You can also upgrade your gun if you'd like to, but it's not entirely needed, as I'd recommend saving your salvage for the tacticals. And also get the perks that will help out the weapon itself, so like speed cola, double tap, and that's really it. Plus you could also get stamina up just to train the zombies if you'd like to. Then I would say to go to train the zombies near a crafting bench, so after you use up your tacticals and the round ends, you can just buy more, which is what I did. And then after training the zombies, you can just throw your tacticals into the horde and kill the zombies. You'll know the affected ones by like the dizziness effect that shows above them, which you'll see it in the clip, and I can zoom in to the clip so then you guys can see what I mean entirely, because it shows up for both concussions and shock charges. Which overall this took me 17 minutes to go from the start to the finish of this camo. The next camo challenge is to get 300 Hipfire Kills, which I recorded this with the Jackal. And the weapons that this is on is the KSV, the Jackal, the Marine SP, the PU-21, and the GS-45. Which, this is a pretty simple camo. The best way to do this is to put the steady aim laser onto your weapon of choice, and then just go for Hipfire Kills from the start. Then you can go for Pack-a-Punch to make your weapon stronger, and I think the Deadshot perk helps with hipfire accuracy, but I could be wrong about that. I'm not 100% sure which perk entirely helps out with hipfire accuracy, but I think it could be Deadshot. And then after that, just go for the perks that you'd like to have, and just continue getting hipfire kills until the camo essentially just shows up. And in total, this camo just took me about 14 minutes to go from the start to the finish of the camo. So the next camo challenge is to get 10 kills without reloading 15 times, which during this recording, I ended up using the XMG. The weapons that this camo challenge is on is the PP919, the XMG, and the GPMG. So basically all the weapons that have like a decent ammo size. The only thing that I really need to say about this camo is to put the biggest mag that you have available to go in with, and as it will help you out with the most. And then you just go into the game and get 10 kills without reloading. If you want to, you can reload after you get the 10 kills, but it's not needed as they do stack, and you will see that during the recording. I'd also say to get speed cola if you're going to reload after each set of 10, but as I said, it's not needed to reload after each set. Obviously, training the zombies up would be the most ideal, as you're not wasting as much ammo going for one zombie at a time. But if the mag's big enough, then you can do either. Also, you can pack-a-punch the weapon in order to get double the ammo size if you're struggling with the camo, as that'll probably help out. Which, during this recording, I did get one in one game after just 1 minute, but I had to leave to help out my mom with something. So I left the game and came back a little while later, which I left my recording on, but after that I came back into the second game, and it took me 9 minutes to get the remaining 14 of them finished. So basically it took me 10 minutes in total, in-game total time, to get this camo finished. And the final special camo that you might end up getting on a weapon is the 300 point blank kills, which I ended up recording this with the with the Compact 92. And the weapons that this camo is on is the Compact, the GPMG, and the Strider. Which, here we are with the final special camo that you might get on a weapon. And probably the dumbest one out of the bunch, to be honest with you. Which, you basically just need to be right next to the zombies to make the camo count. Which is why, in the video, you'll see that I switched from third person to first person in the middle of it all. Just so that I knew where I was going. And you could stay in the spawn room and get 300 kills by doing that, but it would take a decent amount of time to do so. So I just went out and killed zombies at point blank range. And the funniest thing is that vermins were actually pretty simple to get point blanks on as well, because they just died a lot faster than normal zombies. But for this challenge, you'll end up using up a lot of armor plates, and I think it would be best to use Jug for the extra health and Quick Revive to get your health back a little bit faster, just to get back into the fight faster. Plus, you can use whichever other perks you would like to use on top of that. The easiest way is to have your weapon doing the most damage possible, so you're taking less damage from the zombies and killing them faster. Or just killing them faster, essentially. And one thing that I didn't really use during this recording, but I did end up using, is using the tacticals to stun them and Aether Shroud to get like closer to the zombies. Which during this recording you will see that I do go down while trying to get this camo challenge complete, and then I used Aether Shroud and started getting point blanks like that, which that was a weird voice crack. Anyways, so yeah, to make it easier, you basically just need to stun them and use Aether Shroud to just get closer to these zombies. Overall, it took me 18 minutes to go from the start to the finish with this camo. And just like the Parasite camo, I would say to go for this first, just to get it out of the way. Which at the current point of recording, I have 300 point blank kills done on all weapons. And I also have the 30 Parasite kills done on all weapons as well. Because I just decided to go for those camo challenges first. As the Parasites were on a different map, and then the point blanks were kind of just annoying challenges. So obviously that's really it as far as the camos go in this game, besides the main like mastery camos and whatnot in the game. Some of them are, or some of these camos are a little bit harder or more time consuming than the others, but overall, honestly, these special camos aren't really that hard of a grind, or they aren't that bad of a grind, to be honest. Which, since I am done recording all these clips and recording this video, I'll just be going for the Parasites and point blank kills first in particular to get them out of the way, which is what I've currently done. And then after that, I'll be just setting up a directed game on Liberty Falls and going for each weapon after that. And then basically after one weapon is complete, I'll hit the box and go for another weapon, which I know what each weapon's camos are just based off of a document that I have created, and I can check them off as I get them done. And then this same type of tactic where going for like the camo challenge and then hitting the box for another weapon will be seen in the mastery camo videos once those start to come out to the channel, as that's the plan when it comes to getting them done. So then basically I just put myself to a point where I'm at, like, per se, if it's like a 15 kill challenge or 15 or 10 kills like 15 times, then I'll put myself to 14 out of 15 and just record each weapon in that video. Which, honestly, I'm hoping that this video did help some people on their camo journey. I do know that this game has been out for a while and that there are better videos out there for this stuff. But this video is kind of the video that I just wanted to make, just going over all the camos in the chat in one video, so then people could just go to one spot just to see the camos. And the one thing that I will mention is that this current section is being recorded during season 4, or this voiceover is being recorded during season 4, but the last but like the majority of like the clips and stuff were recorded during season 3, which I did end up getting the season 3 black cell. And then like an hour or two after I ended up buying that, I was playing for the game for a little bit and using a friggin' what's it to get more battle pass XP, or battle pass XP token, sorry, and ended up finishing the Black Ops 6 season 3 like battle pass as well, which I have that recorded and you're probably seeing that right now. And so I'm not sure entirely when the next episode of this like Road to Nebula series will be coming out, but in the next episode it will be me going for the gold equivalent and zombies. And I guess I just hope to see you guys all during that video. And that's really it. So anyways, I hope you guys all enjoyed this video. And if you did, definitely do not forget to leave a like. Definitely comment down below on what else you'd want to see from the, or what else you'd want to see on the channel. And subscribe for more to come out into the future, because, you know, with my channel, definitely will be more stuff coming out in the future as always. Also, yes, this background footage was just me playing, trying to get UAVs and destroying stuff, going for one of the events in Black Ops 6. But anyways, guys, yeah, I guess it's been me, Spider-Evan1, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.